Hello, Paisanos, it's ES63, and yesterday I finished Deltarune Chapter 5 from start to finish, and all I can say, peak cinema masterpiece, man. Just freaking shit, man. From start to finish, this was just amazing, man. I know Toby Fox was gonna cook and stuff. He was gonna, do an amazing job. And my oh my, he really delivered, honestly. I predicted it, but man, this went out of my expectations, and I'm really glad it did. I thought chapter 4 was honestly irreplaceable, honestly, because of just how good that ending was. But chapter 5 just came and just immediately suppressed chapter 4, honestly. And I'm very happy, honestly. So yeah. I finished playing it on Steam and stuff. So, anyways, I'm going to be explaining it with my own Let's Play footage and stuff, and yeah. So, here we go. So, starting from part 1 and stuff, obviously we left off where we were from chapter 4, and I have so much to talk about, but first of all, the title screen itself, Deltarune and stuff. Already, I just love, like, Deltarune and stuff, the way how he's saying this. Deltarune and stuff. And finally, we start with the, opening screen and stuff with, Chris, picking up from chapter 4 and stuff. Once again with this heart thing. And finally, of course, leaving back with tutorial and stuff from that drunk with Sans party last night. And this time, this chapter is about Asgard and stuff. Asgard. Okay, I hope I'm pronouncing his name right. Asgard and stuff of him being, I don't know if he's a bad father or something. But yeah. And then after that, we explore the school. We meet up with, Susie and stuff. And finally, of course, this is basically mostly of all the stuff from the previous 4 chapters and stuff, with all the characters returning and stuff. And with that said, and yeah, that was part 1. I know I wasn't explaining anything, so yeah, that was the introduction. So now, part 2 and onward, this is where finally chapter 5 begins and stuff. Of course, we meet up, of course, with all the crew and stuff. And now, we are ready to, of course, this was, I'm not sure if that was perfect for FIFA reference or something. But finally, of course, this is where pretty much now we enter into the, to the festival and stuff after we get out from there. And now, of course, some awkward cutscene about someone not singing. And then we get an emotional scene, of course, with Susie and her and stuff. We get an emotional cutscene where it has a really great, character development for her and stuff. And it really feels good, honestly. That's the thing I like about Toby Fox, honestly. It's always that he knows how to change our mood. From happy, to sad, to angry, to fear, to joyful. And just hilarious. But finally, of course, here's that same scene again and stuff. And now, in Asgard's shop, this leads us to the Dark World. And now, this is where Chapter 5 finally now begins. And here we go. And, yeah, this is the flower area. So, yeah. So, now that was part 2. So, moving on to part 3 now. And here we go. We're about to begin this flower world. But here comes just the ultimate thing that blew my mind away. If you thought, the Tenna with the whole N64, PS1, and Saturn model was mind-blowing, look at this. A full-on Japanese anime PS2, OG Xbox, GameCube, Dreamcast cutscene. Like, they put an 80s anime, 90s anime, and stuff. Yeah, they went full Persona, Final Fantasy, or just... I mean, it's not surprising since I think Toby Fox, likes a lot of those RPGs, so... But, man, I was not expecting anime, man. A polygon to freaking damn anime? Seriously? And, of course, this guy was just... I don't know what it is, man, but either this guy can make me laugh or just a bit annoyed, but... Honestly, from that anime damn cutscene alone, just what the hell, man? Jesus Christ, honestly. And finally, we're back to that same area we were in Chapter 1, honestly. And I really like the remakes, honestly. It just feels really great. And, yeah. And then also, of course, after going through, you know, this forest, solving some puzzles and stuff. And some new enemy types and stuff. And also this new gimmick, which we flower, of course, some plants and stuff to build pathways or to draw this guy's picture's face and stuff. And yeah, but I was not expecting like a full damn just anime. And also this gimmick right here is just fun. Now this is where I say like this gimmick is very fun because you can also break stuff with it. And it makes a nice speed mechanic and stuff. Like, it's kind of like Pizza Tower in a bit, but yeah. And then after that, of course... And then we get to this part and stuff where, you know, this guy says, okay, you guys have to go. But, of course, we're not falling for that. That's not how the chapter ends, honestly. And knowing Toby Fox, you know, this stuff is going to be long. But, yeah, and that's part 3 and stuff. Now, moving on to part 4. But a freaking damn anime cutscene. What the heck, man? But, yeah. And, of course... Ascar having a bit of a crisis to himself. Is he a good father or a good husband for tutorial? But yeah. And finally, we plant more of the garden to build more of the pathway. And then we get to this boss fight and stuff, which was kind of annoying and stuff, but it was me just having a skill issue and me, you know, I just had to get good. I ended up finally getting good. And finally, of course, I defeated her, and she becomes an important character for this chapter and stuff. Yeah. It kind of reminded me of the Tenna boss fight a bit, but yeah. She becomes, I guess, either both a good person or a bad person and stuff. But I think ultimately she's, like, just chaotically good and stuff. And then finally, of course, and that was that. That was part 4. And now we move on to part 5. Okay, I kind of spoiled it here, but... Oh my god. Now this is where this chapter got so fucking good because of one thing. Okay, after we... No, don't spoil that. Okay, after we have to climb up, you notice that we were in a top-down isometric view, and this flower... Well, I think Toby went to Japan, so Japan reference and stuff. But guess what he's about to do? Petal flower. It does this. And here we go. It turned into a 2D side-scrolling action platformer. What the So, just a platformer. I know this is simple, but oh my god, this is such a massive shift, honestly. And you know what's crazy? Like, before playing this, I played through another 2D side-scrolling action platformer, part 1, which was Katana Zero, and it has a sword like this game and stuff. But I was not expecting Deltarune. Like, you know what's crazy? I had a, moment saying that, imagine if Deltarune became a 2D platformer. And look, it did. I thought Sabotage Studios was the only studio who can, switch from a platformer to an RPG, side-scrolling action platformer, to a turn-based isometric RPG. But I was not expecting Toby to do this. Like, holy shit, man. This was easily the best part I was having, and honestly, as someone who prefers platformers over RPGs, this really made me the most emotional, honestly. And considering I also make some platformers myself, in terms of, ROM hacking with Lunar Magic, and Game Maker Studio with, doing some pre-indie stuff, this really is very emotional to me, honestly. Just from the simple twist alone, man, already, this was about to be my favorite chapter. So, when you press this, you go from top-down isometric to a side-scrolling action platformer. And Toby, if you're reading this, thank you so much. I just love this, okay? It now makes me love Deltarune more and stuff, because, honestly, Deltarune as a 2D platformer is just badass and peak. And just, holy shit, man. It's really just fun, honestly. Of course, this system is very similar, Ninja Gaiden, Shinobi, Castlevania... Steel Assault, Cyber Shadow, The Messenger, Katana Zero, and Strider, and stuff. Was there one more 2D platforming I forgot? Hollow Knights? No, those are Metroidvanias. This is a linear side-scroller, but yeah. And the background, it just screams Japan, man. I think I know because Toby went to Japan, but holy shit, just this background, just absolute peak, man. It looks great. And of course, Ascar and stuff. And of course, he has to go to that fountain and stuff, which is not good, so we must hurry up. And here's the music, man. This music already is just amazing, honestly. from switching to RPG to platformer, it's just, oh my god, amazing. And I love this parallax scrolling, man. Like, I know it's all simple, man, but man, it really shows that Toby has absolutely drastically upgraded his art, honestly, and stuff. And honestly, just holy shit, I just think this was just great. And just switching from, you know, like I said, RPG to platformer was just amazing. I just loved doing it. I just kept doing, just switching the two views from side-scrolling to top-down isometric, because it just felt so, like, crazy to see this game in side-scrolling platformer and stuff. So, Sabotage Studio and Toby Fox will be known for one thing: changing from a platformer to RPG. And also, I love how the boss fights now are in platforming view. No more of going from a different screen anymore. Now these boss fights to me are much more better paced out, because these are my kinds of boss fights, where you have to dodge hazards and stuff, and not be in some turn-based and stuff. Like, I like turn-based, but I prefer platforming hazardous boss fights that you have to dodge and use your weapon to attack it. And yeah. And just, yeah, this was amazing. You know, it's ironically, I finished my VLDC 15 entry, and I'm gonna upload this after this review. But man, this really feels very like funny, and it feels the ultimate irony, honestly. So yeah. But after that, we go here and stuff, and then obviously we climb these vines, and then we fight her and stuff. Kind of annoying, but I was able to defeat her no problem. And then we make it to this Japanese, like, whoa, temple. Shinobi ninja temple and stuff. Then we end up locking into jail and stuff. And yeah, that's kind of BS, obviously. And yeah, get wrecked, bitch. You're now in jail. And finally, of course, that was it and stuff. So that was part 5. Now moving on to part 6. And yeah, we make it more of the flower castle and stuff. And we have 2 paths. We have to cut those grasses open and stuff. And this is all Japan. Just, you know, Okami, Shinobi, Ninja Gaiden. Yeah, this just screams feudal Japan and stuff. And Ghost of Tsushima. But, uh-oh. What is a firearm doing here? Like a revolver, a Colt revolver, Texan firearm. Well, what the? American Texan cowboy partner? That's odd. Why is he here? But honestly, I still love it. It's something I like about Toby, man. Like, he knows how to just change, like, the tone and shift just immediately and just do it so, execute it so perfectly, honestly. Combined with these fun 2D platforming, level design, and challenging and stuff, it just feels good and stuff. So, yeah. Also, of course, I like this part right here and stuff, and yeah. And of course, we have to fight these 2 and stuff, because now, you know, his wife, I assume, is about to, you know, get us arrested. However, we do now we go full Ace Attorney now we have to do objection. So it has to prove that the person who was guilty this entire time was blue. No mercy. I really wanted to play that Ace Eternity theme, honestly, but I was busy in the middle of this boss fight, and this boss fight kind of made me a bit stressed and stuff. But it was kind of a fun thinking process, honestly. But yeah. But now with that said, I mean, I guess we become friendish with these people. I'm not really sure, though, but yeah. And that was part 6, so yeah. Now moving on to part 7 and stuff. Obviously some spoiler there, but yeah, now we move on to part 7. Yeah, then we deal with this guy again, and then we enter into this comfy zone and stuff, and we cut one of the grass up. Now we have to go cut the other grass and stuff, where now we meet up with another character and stuff, that being green with cheese, and I think you know who this person's gonna be, honestly. It may be some scary monster, but it's not really a monster, actually. It's more than that. It's actually, well, we go through this tower and stuff, and we deal with that girl again, these 2 girls again and stuff. And also, I really like this part where you create your own platforms and stuff, and turn-based and side-scrolling and stuff, both from RPG to platforming and stuff. And guess who it was? This mouse guy and stuff. And he has a pretty big ego and stuff. And we have argument and stuff, and then... But this guy's actually pretty good. He's actually the only, like, I'm not sure if it's a he or she, but this green person is the only person who's been the nicest to us, honestly. And I really like that, honestly, so yeah. And then after that, green leaves, because green is a great overall just person and stuff. Just giving us some tasty food, honestly. And we got the other grass now. And with this Japanese song, Feudal Japan. And of course, now finally, that was part 7. So moving on to part 8 and stuff. Damn it, I can't spell that again. So obviously now, and of course, we climb up the tower and stuff. And now, of course, we meet up with Asgard now. But Asgard's sort of starting to regret this, because Flowery is like kind of like pushing him to this. And then we meet up with all the crew and stuff. And now, obviously, okay, hold on, I kind of F'd that up for a minute. Okay, so now, this is the power of friendship. I think to me, this chapter really explored the concept of so-called friend, bond, or loyalty and stuff. And yeah. Indeed, we can't give up now. Now, finally, let's go. And this is where now it's about to get good. Fucking Mega Man X1, X2, X3. The Mega Man X trilogy, Mega Man X1 is Sigma's final stage, Mega Man X2 is X Hunter final stage, and Mega Man X3 is Dr. Doppler final stage. Just, oh my god, man. Jesus Christ. The 2D platformer was already obvious. I thought the final stage was going to be like something like Ninja Gaiden or Shinobi, or, you know, and stuff, or Strider and stuff. But holy hell, Mega Man X, that's even better. Mega Man 0 and Mega Man X, of course, had also a sword and stuff. So, yeah. And overall, I just love this, man. This was just getting just absolutely fucking hype. Just badass and stuff. Combined with the 2D platforming, side-scrolling, I'm very happy with this Mega Man X badass of the main theme and stuff. They chose this 2D side-scrolling gimmick, platforming gimmick, and it made it even more badass. If this was some RPG, then it would have been, you know, turn-based isometric view, then it would have been kind of lame. But in a side-scrolling, fast-paced, speedy, high-energetic action platformer, Mega Man X, Sonic, Shinobi, Ninja Gaiden and stuff, and Pizza Tower, Gravity Circuit, Phantom Blast, Cyber Shadow, Messenger, and of course Katana Zero, and also Celeste. It made this even more badass. Oh, and also Super Meat Boy, can't forget about that one. I'm sorry, guys. I just freaking... Oh my god, this was just amazing, man. It was easily the best part. This was the best song in the soundtrack. It just gives you this high feeling of just being a badass hero and also being hopeful. You're going to save the world, the universe, and the future and stuff. And then, of course, this is where I got kind of annoyed at this guy and stuff because he was, like, he's just playing with us. And, yeah. And Green is a good fellow, honestly. Giving us some great food. Thank you, Green. And, yeah. And that was Chapter 8. Now, before I move on to Chapter 9, of course, I'm going to go through the DELTARUNE soundtrack. But overall, my favorite track from the soundtrack, obviously, was just this. And like what these comments said, of course, best song in the game, Mega Man X1, X2, and X3 and stuff. Sigma Final Stage, X Hunter Final Stage and stuff, and Dr. Doppler Final Stage and stuff. All the 3 Mega Man X and S games into one, and yeah. I have to say, out of all the sound thought that Toby Fox did, it was honestly the Mega Man X was honestly great, and yeah. And now, after that, we move on to Part 9 and stuff. And yeah, pretty much. And now that we move on to Part 9, we finally the badass Mega Man X final stage side-scrolling platforming is done. And now we're about to turn big isometric. And now we're about to buy Flowery. And thankfully this song is just as amazing, honestly. And you get to see some lyrics and stuff. So, considering this has no lyrics, this uses our imagination to fill in the void. Like, who the hell is singing? Who could be singing to this, you know, this pretty but also kind of a little bit of a douche guy. Not a monster, but like kind of a bit of a jerk, honestly. And also I like this 3D tower, man. Like, Toby Fox, I'm happy he's practicing with the 3D stuff, honestly, because it's been a great addition. Starting from like Chapter 3. No, I think Chapter 2 with the whole punch out and stuff. Boss fight. And yeah, this boss fight took me a bit some time getting used to. But I was finally able to just, you know, because basically this boss fight required mercy and not no attacking and stuff. Just friendship. And now here we go. Full Mina the Damn Hollower. or Tower Heaven and stuff. So we went from, you know, like 2D platformer like Shinobi Ninja Gaiden, Strider, Mario, Sonic, Mega Man X, and of course Castlevania, to full on, you know, like Ace Attorney at one point, and now Mina the Damn Hollower. I thought Chapter 3 and Chapter 4 were the king of doing just a twist, changing DELTARUNE and breaking its formula. But Chapter 5, holy shit, man. This took it to a new level. I really hope. I have no clue what Chapter 6 is going to be, but okay, well, let's get back to Chapter 5. And finally, I've had enough of this guy's BS and stuff. And now we turn to 2D side-scrolling action platformer. And I'm done with this guy. We're about to slash his ass multiple times and stuff. And I was taking screenshots just how badass this fight was, honestly. And with that said, bam! Just love this part, honestly. This was just badass. And I'm glad, you know, this wasn't a side-scrolling action platformer and not in a turn-based isometric RPG. Because I feel like Toby was reading my mind. I was at my limit and I wanted to just finish this. And it did and stuff. But then Asgore finds out the harsh truth and stuff, that Flowery wasn't being honest and stuff. And then we get a sad cutscene with Asgore and stuff, that he wasn't really a good father, but he tries his best to be a good person. So yeah. And then finally, of course, he's just doing something that's just pointless in the end. And even though this guy was nice, Asgore believes that he wants to return to the real world, focus on his shop, and just be a good, you know, a good, humble, just great individual man and stuff, and yeah. And then we say goodbye to all of these people and stuff. But don't worry, maybe Chapter 6, they're gonna bring them back and stuff, and yeah. And as if you watch my 2 YouTube shorts, I won't be showing them, I'll be showing the last YouTube short, where I said I thought this was almost the end and stuff. But then, my expectations became and stuff. I was not expecting this was the end, because from Chapter 3, but unfortunately with that Chapter 3 prediction mindset, unfortunately, I know who was gonna die and stuff in this game, so here it was. But it turns into a white screen, but it's not the ending. Guess who that piece of shit? I'm so fucking mad at the same time, but surprised, honestly. This bastard, I swear, I want to kill him, okay, and stuff. I don't care anymore. I had it with this person, okay? Even if Toby makes this, like, monster have a redeemable backstory, I don't care. I'm still gonna kill this son of a bitch. I had it with this motherfucker. Just killing innocents for no damn reason, and I've just had it. And no, here we go. About to repeat Chapter 3 all over again. Why, Toby? Why do you do this, man? You make a character now, I finally can understand your pain. To just killing them? Seriously? Come on, Toby. I get this is a part of a great storytelling, but man, Toby, why do you gotta be like this, man? Toby can either be either the nicest guy or the rudest guy when it comes to his characters. But that's kind of what makes Toby great, that duality of him. He can either be heaven or hell, but he's probably both, honestly. He embodies both of those aspects. I hope Chapter 7 lets us go Doom Slayer, Rip and Tear Chainsaw mode on that black monster bastard knife. But finally, here we go. This is the ending. And finally, Chapter 5 ends here. Well, not yet. We still have one more final send-off cutscene and stuff. But yeah. And Flowery. It makes me kind of heartbroken, man, that Toby has to keep killing these characters and stuff. But it's his game. He can do what he wants. And of course, as I said on my YouTube short here and stuff, I already mentioned it and stuff. I'm going to repeat at the end. And yeah, as I said, Chapter 6. Yeah, they're on Chapter 6. So yeah, going to close this out now. That's Part 9. And now finally, Part 10, the finale and stuff. Here we go. So yeah. And here we go and stuff. So finally we make it out and stuff. We're back outside to the, main party and stuff. That's now nighttime and stuff. Everyone's to sleep. And we take Susie, of course, back to her area, or we go to the school. And then Susie kind of just, leaves us behind and stuff. And finally, that's Deltarune Chapter 5. Holy shit, just from start to finish, I already said this before. Peak cinema. Amazing. Just fantastic, wonderful. This surpassed Chapter 4. And I'm just happy, man. It went beyond my expectations. I didn't know what twist we were going to get. First we got anime, then a whole 2D side-scrolling action platformer, which is more funny considering before this I Let's Played Katana Zero, and I'm working on my VLDC 15 entry and a bit of my Game Maker Studio 2 project, which are all 2D platformers, by the way, side-scrolling action platformers. And then here comes Toby doing the same thing. What? I almost forgot a few more 2D platformers. Kirby, Donkey Kong Country, and Yoshi and the Mysterious Book. Did Crash ever got a 2D entry? Not sure if he did, but yeah. And also Contra, but that's more of a run and gun. But I guess I'm going to include Contra and Metal Slug and Iron Meat, Neon Inferno and stuff. Also Sanabi, Prison City. And Angry Video Game Nerd Trilogy and stuff. And Nine Souls. Did I forget one more? Oh, and Neon, Advent Neon and stuff. But finally, we have a montage of stuff of everyone, of Susie sleeping, rebuilding her home, and just being accepted. This kind of makes us a bit sad. I'm not sure what to feel about Chris, but in the end, Susie feels happy, and that's Deltarune Chapter 5, and to be continued in Chapter 6. Maybe next year, 2027 of June. We're not sure, but yeah. Deltarune. Farewell, Chapter 5. Thank you, Chapter 5, for being an 11 out of 10 experiments, start to finish, and an adventure. And farewell, Chapter 5. And with that said, we are finally done with Deltarune Chapter 5, of course. Thankfully, I'm so happy I was able to finish this on my first try and stuff. And, yeah, overall. So, yeah. So anyways, with Deltarune Chapter 5 now officially done and stuff, now that I'm done with Deltarune Chapter 5, all I can say, man, honestly, peak cinema chapter from start to finish. Toby Fox, you really knocked it out of the park, and I'm just blown away and amazed just how amazing this was. I took a lot of damn screenshots on Steam. I just could not help it, man, but yeah, it was just an amazing masterpiece. So with all that said, my final send-off, farewell, goodbye, the end to Deltarune Chapter 5 and stuff is just that I was happy that this, for the first time ever in my life since last year in 2025 when I finished Mario Kart World or Neon Inferno from start to finish, this was a video game in 2026 that I was able, well, probably because this is just a single chapter, not the entire game, I was able to finish from start to finish, and that's it. Just in one day yesterday. And I cannot be more proud of myself, so I'm giving myself a pat on the back. But yeah, that was Deltarune Chapter 5. Amazing chapter. Toby Fox absolutely knocked it out of the park with this. And yeah, just amazing. Thank you, Toby Fox. And yeah, I'm sorry if I'm, praising so much. This was just too much of an amazing chapter and yeah, and stuff. So yeah, with that said, farewell Deltarune Chapter 5 and stuff. And thank you, Toby Fox, for making just an amazing masterpiece. And yeah, farewell Deltarune Chapter 5. And this is ES3. Thank you guys for watching my review on Deltarune Chapter 5. This is ES3 saying one final goodbye and farewell, Deltarune Chapter 5. I'm going to now finally uninstall it now and stuff. And yeah, pretty much. But yeah, anyways, this is ES3 saying goodbye and farewell, Deltarune Chapter 5. And thank you, Toby Fox, for making an 11 out of 10 Chapter 5. That surpassed my expectations of the last chapters. And I'm so ready for Chapter 6 next year. Or maybe 2020. I'm not sure what's coming out, but yeah. But this is ES3 saying thank you guys for watching my review on Deltarune Chapter 5. And this is ES3 saying farewell, paisanos.